Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for ICONversations. If you don't know what ICON is an Exceptional Production Achievement Award given to the top 3 to 6% of earners globally at eXp Realty. And today, we have an amazing panel of our astonishing icons here to bring you a wealth of information. From California, we have Charles Chamorro. From Virginia, we have Laura Rowe. From Texas, we have Daniel Ramirez. From British Columbia, we have Scott Lissa. And our moderator today, the amazing Ricardo Hidalgo. Ricardo, take it away, man.
Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you guys are located. My name is Ricardo, and I am in the Santa Rosa Beach area. I'm not sure if any of you guys want to introduce yourself and just go one by one and let us know what you do, what you guys specialize in, and maybe what got you into real estate or even EXP.
I can start if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so my name is Scott Lissa. I am a Canadian up in British Columbia. I'm on an island of all places in Canada called Vancouver Island, a little place called Nanaimo. And I primarily focus on doing relocation, people coming from all over the world that, strangely enough, want to live in the warmest place in Canada. So I focus very heavily on lead systems, generating leads, following up with leads, and creating connections with people who are from far and away through video advertising. But my main start in real estate was actually doing advertising for realtors all across the United States and Canada. And then after a while, it just made more sense for the income stream to do exactly what I was showing people what to do. So, yeah.
So I can go next. I'm Laura Rowe. I'm out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. I service all the Hampton Roads area. We service about 6 cities, and been doing this about 24 years. And I concentrate a lot on, I do a lot of parties, and I do neighborhood farming. So those are the two main things where I get a lot of my business from.
Awesome. Charles?
Hi, I'm Charles Chamorro from California. My market is Los Angeles County, Orange County, San Bernardino County, and Riverside County. I do commercial and residential real estate. I used to be in the IT industry, so I leverage a lot of my technological knowledge in advertising my listings and my services. And I was also a teacher, which, I use that knowledge to train my team. And I've been licensed since 2010.
Awesome. So that's really interesting what Laura said, because we're kind of talking about lead generation and you're talking about parties and Hamptons. I'm assuming that you're working some sort of luxury market. What angle are you doing with these parties? Are you bringing like professional vendors that you're working with? Or is it more like the Sargent style? Like, what do you guys do?
That's funny. It's a great book. I've been doing it for 24 years. And you guys, the biggest thing I could tell you is that the best advice I can give you, and I don't care if you're 1 year in the business or 24 years in the business, you got to have a database. And I used to have so many different databases and would lose them every year. So I decided just to do one. So I'm on actually Brian Buffini's, the CRM. It's the only thing I really use. But I started, I had to leave the business in 2018 because my husband had cancer. He's doing great. He's a cancer survivor. Came back to the business 2 years later and did $13 million out of the gate. So then I thought, and what I ended up doing was really calling people and just started that little bit of networking and started just doing these parties. I host 3 parties a year now. I do an Oktoberfest in October. I have about 100 people come to my house personally. I've got a good sized house, but I have a bigger yard, so we make it a big beer garden. I do St. Patrick's Day and have a lot of people coming to that, about 50 people. And then every summer I do a Tides game, which is our AAA baseball team. And I usually have about 140 people show up there. The business I get from these 3 events is unbelievable. And I don't think you have to start big. I think if you just start small, you can just grow your business into doing something like this. And it's been unbelievable. So that's what I end up doing.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it's like really out of the box. I think we do some of those strategies too. And I think you have a really great story. So you're doing an awesome job. Scott, do you want to maybe touch on what you're doing? If you're doing maybe any interesting lead generation tactics aside from Zillow or Realtor or anything that someone has access to that's a little bit more creative to kind of capture your audience?
I just have to point out, it's just so amazing hearing her speak. There's introverts and there's extroverts, and there's people who are all different sides of the spectrum that are on that. And I just want to emphasize, if you're good at something, you should definitely pursue it, because that is a primary example of somebody not following what other people are doing and just being themselves, enjoying their lives. That sounds like a really rich way to generate content, clients. But that brings me to my concept and what I do. It's content. When you're providing value to people, it's really apparent the quality of that content and the value that you're bringing. So something that I doubled down on was video production. So I really got into making a lot of videos about my cities. I'm on an island. There's Qualicum Beach, Parksville, Nanaimo, Nanoose, all these beautiful bayside communities that are just stunning to live on. Again, you'd be shocked that it's actually in Canada. But I started creating content around these community guides for each and every one of them, showcasing different things around farmers markets, amazing hikes to go up to waterfalls. The fact of the matter is these things started off very slow, but a lot of these videos are in the 20,000s of views. And half the time when I'm driving around right now, people just give me a call and say, hey, I saw you on this video explaining a place I would love to live. Do you have a second to talk? And in a lot of ways, it's even created a type of celebrity for me, which I'll go back to that introvert extrovert thing. I'm very good with computers. I'm very good with lead generation. Fact of the matter is that 90% of my socialization is just going out and selling homes. But at the end of the day, what I've found the greatest value for that augments my lead generation, which I'll talk about a little bit later, is the fact that when I am following up with leads, I'm following up with sending them video links to all the things that they've probably already asked questions about. And they're being introduced to me. So whether they're finding me through my videos first, or I'm following them up as quality content, providing value, and that I'm the best informational resource in a geographic area, the hook is set in. So the combination of both content and lead generation is what's really brought me most of my success over the last 3 to 4 years.
Is there a particular hook that you're using, or using the hook in the first 3 to 5 seconds? And then how much business, or over a period of 6 to 12 months when you do these videos, how much business are you acquiring?
Oh, I would say, I guess production, I'd have to look through my stats, but I would say in this year alone, it probably generated me about 15, 16 clients.
Wow. All organic?
No, it's all organic too. And we're not talking that these people are looking at things like I'm selling these people multi-million-dollar homes.
Wow.
These are beach communities. Like, it's a high-end area. It's just amazing. And the hook, this is the problem where we're talking about value. People get on, they introduce themselves, they say they're a realtor, what area they represent, and all these things. People, you've lost 90% of your audience there. If people like you, they'll like you. So what I'm doing is I get up and I just start talking about the thing. Apply the idea, I hate to say this, of TikTok or short form video, where you have a very short amount of time to get out what you're talking about. If people like what you're doing, they're going to continue to watch. Most of these viewers that watch one of my videos end up watching like 30 of them, and then repeatedly. And the crazy thing is when you're actually walking through parking lots and people start asking you to take pictures with you. That's the real weird one that starts coming up. But what this comes down to is, again, don't try to actually, I did an interview with our old CEO about this. Don't sell the steak, sell the sizzle. In other words, people are going to get that you're a representative in an area. You don't need to point it out. Once they get in the hook, they'll start digging into who you are and they'll reach out to you.
Wow, that's actually really smart and well said, and I 100% agree with you. We even use some of those tactics over here, which gets us a lot of business. So I'm very happy that's successful for you. Charles, what about you? What are you guys doing? What are you working on? What's like your niche market that you would say is your bread and butter for business, such as getting you through these high interest rates or even this market?
Well, I generate my leads through my. Could you hear me okay, guys? I hear echoing. Okay, so I generate my leads mostly from the community groups I created. I have groups ranging from 10,000 members to 71. I think the biggest one is 71,000 members now. So I give value to the community, like what Scott says, by providing them a marketplace where they could sell, their products in the local area. And I also post real estate related stuff in those groups. So I become known as the local realtor. And then they do reach out to me if they have questions about real estate, if they want to buy and sell homes, and it happens. So, and also I give value to the places I go to. So for example, I go to an MMA gym, and I always help out in recruiting people to that gym. So when they needed to relocate to a larger gym to double their size, they used me, even though there were like 6 other realtors in the gym. I was the one who was providing them with value without charging them or expecting anything in return. So the head coach saw that, and they hired me to get their next location. And I also go to a skincare clinic. So the same thing, I recruited customers to them, and when they needed a warehouse, like a 10,000 square foot warehouse, they got me to do that, and I was able to close on that, which was quite a big deal. So that's what I do. To get business, just provide them with value, and then I get value in return.
Okay. And then are you guys focusing like on a particular price point when you're talking about the value, or you're kind of just like saying, hey, here's like the broad topic, maybe dig a little bit deeper into me, and then once you know about me, then ask me the questions? How are you guys like layering your marketing or your messages across?
Okay, I have a group it's me, and I have 8 agents who are under me, and then we have, so within those 8 agents, I distribute leads. So for example, I take the higher price points, and then for example, somebody wants to sell like a manufactured home, so I send one of my agents to list that one, and or a lease. So yeah, so I just delegate them, but we do everything from rentals all the way to $1 million listings to shopping centers. We do all that.
Laura or Scott, do you guys do the same thing? Like kind of what Charles said, hey, if this doesn't meet my criteria, I just kind of sign it out and this is where I focus on? Or do you guys have a team or maybe established agents already in the nearby area, which you already give those referrals to kind of build your network?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a team for 23 years, and I basically just let them all go last year. I just kind of needed to do something different. And to be honest with you, I do all my stuff. I do all my work. I don't really refer anything out anymore. And if I can't do it, of course, I will send it over to an EXP agent that I have actually recruited to the company. But the majority of time, like I said, I just do it myself. But can I just say something really quick? Because I think it's super important. What Scott had said earlier, it's there's just things I just can't do. I mean, I've been doing this, I think my first 10 years of real estate, I was trying to be somebody else and wasn't going to be me. You had to have a team, you had to do this. And I just kind of started doing everything that I thought I should be doing. Even though I was a top producer, I used to own Keller Williams franchises. I've done a lot of stuff, but everybody wanted me to be somebody else. And I tell you, I'm sticking to what I know. And this is in 2018 when I came back. I really decided I'm doing what makes me happy. I'm not good at video. I just am just not. And I beat myself every morning. Oh, I should be doing video. I should be doing these community pages. I'm just not good at it. And I think that if we just have to stick to what your gift and talent is. I mean, I don't have to do that stuff. And the neighborhood farming alone, I've closed $3.5 million in just my neighborhood, and we're only in the 6 months in. So, I teach that class, neighborhood farming and mindset. But, I don't have to do these other things that I beat myself up over. So I just want to kind of throw that out there. If you're a super detailed person, which I am not, then you can have the details of the video and what are you going to do the next day. And if you're just like me, I just wing it, and I'm looking for the bigger vision. And so we're all so different. So I just encourage you guys, don't beat yourself over it. Do what you're good at. And that's all I have to say. So go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a really good response. And I mean, I haven't heard that letting go of the team. You kind of followed your path. It seems like you're very successful. And it seems like you already have a really good legacy. So that's awesome. Scott, what about you? Oh, Scott, you there?
I won't lie. I think I've got a little bit off track here. Sorry, we've been listening to multiple viewpoints. What's the question again?
So basically it's, what are you doing with your messaging? You do a lot of marketing. Are you tailoring that messaging to like a particular audience, or kind of like Charles said, if I get a lead from somewhere else and they really like who I am, do you refer it out to someone else? Or if you kind of have a network or a team that you're already working with, like how do you redistribute your business? Because it seems like you're doing a lot of volume.
Well, and here's the hard thing. Actually, that's another concept too. Volume. A lot of times when you start doing very well at this, you don't think that is enough, and you'll keep on growing and growing and growing. The fact of the matter is no matter how hard you work, don't get me wrong, you're always going to try and grow a little bit more, which gets you to a point where you can't always take on more clients, which sounds absolutely ludicrous, but it's true. And when it gets to that point, the real question is, are you taking on too much business, or do you just look at the profit-driven concept of referring out leads, creating a team structure, whatever it may be? For us here in British Columbia in Canada, we're actually the most regulated real estate anywhere in North America. So in doing this, we have a lot of disclosure processes, literally what you guys are doing through NAR. We've kind of already have a concept here, but nonetheless, point being is right now I'm struggling with this, and this is why I don't have an exact answer. I have so much business, I don't know what to do with it. And the fact of the matter is my messaging, which ties into that, is when somebody works with me, they work with me. I make sure I take care of everything for them. People buy homes on islands for me. They sail out here to see me. They fly here to see me. They do all these crazy things to come and arrive here. And it's all based on, and this is the messaging, that I will be taking care of you and you're going to be here living the island life. So in that construct, in referring people out, that's my largest concern, is knowing that somebody will truly take care of the people that I'm working with, because I've established a vision here that people will be taken care of. So really, this is my struggle right now, and I don't know how to answer your question directly, but I'm currently looking for those people that can help me and properly work on a team. But at this point, I find most things done by myself is the way that I find that they're done right.
And then that's kind of interesting. So have you thought about maybe like putting some AI or maybe bots, or just something that can maybe qualify them so you don't have to spend as much time, or maybe it saves you 10 to 15 minutes on the hour? So you may have,
I have a filtering system. Don't get me wrong. I have a person that actually kind of holds back the tidal wave and just lets me know who I have to talk to. And once they're talking to me, they're talking to me. But there's something else that's a little bit more advantageous too. Most of the people I'm working for aren't here. You wouldn't believe how many homes I sell to people sight unseen. Or if they do buy something through, they'll end up flying out and just looking at it once while they're here. I'm literally dealing with 4 exact deals like this right now that I just did last weekend. And in this situation, my time is really not spent with people a lot of the time. It's phone calls, it's video calls. So literally, as much as it seems that I'm doing all this volume, which most people would be going out and showing each person 30 properties, I'm showing them 2 or 3 online. I'm going to do a video tour with them, and then they're ending up selecting the property, which again, that's where my next step comes in, where I'm taking care of everything with them from the point that they put in the offer to the closing. But that being said, yeah, I have a lot more spare time. So that tidal wave, I have somebody holding back just to make sure that they're somewhat qualified and not just some BS lead. But after that, yeah, they're directly working with me.
Okay. What about you, Laura or Charles? Are you guys using anything that can maybe maximize your time, or maybe save you some time as well? Like whether it's AI or maybe something a little bit more simple?
Yeah, I'm not, to be honest with you. It's that list of my 20 things I should be doing. Nope, haven't gotten to that yet. I'm super busy. So maybe in December, when I have a 2-week downtime, when I'm on vacation, I'll look into the AI for the next year. But no, I'm not.
And then I had a question, maybe not AI, but I know you said you let go of your team. Have you thought about maybe putting other admins or a personal assistant that can maybe take on those responsibilities?
Oh, I know that I'm probably preaching to the choir, but my personality, I'm very controlling. I just can't let it go. I just can't. So I really struggle with that. But, I'm 24 years in the business. It's hard. I wish I would have done, I did have an assistant early on, but I I tend to pick the wrong assistant. So therefore, the ones that sit on their phone all day, and then I'm like, I can still see you on your phone. Can you help me? So I just decided, to stop getting angry and just do it myself. So, I know I'm probably there's probably a couple of people out there like me, but at this point I can handle it. Hopefully I'll be, I'm tracking to do 16 million this year, and I'm okay with that. I mean, if I could just do that, I'd love to do 20 million and probably need an assistant for that. So as long as I'm tracking, I'm happy with that. So no, unfortunately I'm not. And I love EXP SkySlope because it's so easy to use. It takes me 7 minutes to put everything in. So, and I usually do it when I'm watching TV at night with my husband or just hanging out. So yeah, that's for me. So yeah, nope, not me.
Oh, awesome. And then what about you, Charles?
Oh, well, with me, I use my virtual assistant to handle all my leads and also to do online marketing. And also we are programming chatbots too to help to respond to some of the incoming leads in an automated way. And I have field people who, I used to go to my listings and to check on property, open doors for contractors. So basically, I leverage a lot of people, and buyers agents as well, and AI.
How much? So since you started leveraging this, just so maybe people in the crowd can understand, what were you doing at that moment, and then how much are you doing now on the leverage?
How much you mean the sales volume?
So So how much were you doing when you first started, and then when you started putting these leveraging points in place? How long did it take for them to become successful? And then what did you see as far as the production increase?
Oh yeah, my production increased a lot. I used to be with Keller Williams. Sorry for saying bad words, but yeah, I used to be with them, and I tried to do everything on my own. And then somebody mentored me, a very good agent over there, told me that I could only work really 8 hours a day realistically without sacrificing my health. So, but if I hire people, it's as if I'm working 12, 15, 20 hours a day because I'm using other people's time. I just have to share with them a little bit of, piece of the action. And it worked. I think my production increased by maybe 100%, I think.
Wow.
I don't know the exact numbers, but yeah.
What
life became much better.
From like 10 to 20 million?
I think 10 to 20, something like that. And then my stress level also went down. I could also have more time for my son and for myself, to exercise, to go to, do relaxing things like go walk at the beach and stuff like that.
Awesome. So that's awesome that you got your time back and also control your business. Here are kind of a few interesting things, especially where we're at in the market. I don't know if you guys keep up with the financial markets or even kind of what's happening with, housing and some of the things that they want to pass. I'm not sure if you guys are, I'm sure a few of you guys are already working with luxury investors, but are any of you guys working with like true investors, are looking for equity positions, depreciation, or any sort of cash flow in your market? How are you handling the higher interest rates? Like, are you, for example, are you asking sellers, hey, please buy down my interest rate, or please cover my closing costs? Like, how are you guys navigating that? And if you guys are navigating that better or worse, have you guys seen any declines in your business from 2022, 2023 into 2024? So
I guess I'll jump in. So really, a lot of my sellers, because a lot of my clientele, my business is relocation. So I obviously don't work with a lot of locals, but the people I do work with locally are developers, people who are typically looking for large pieces of land, whether or not we can rezone them, and then they go ahead and turn it into a subdivision. The fact of the matter is it's not just rates that have increased that affect this. There's a lot of government regulation that has already stepped in that have really affected our ability to develop land. So I would say I've seen a massive decrease in the amount of people. I used to sell, 15, 20 lots a year, big pieces of land. And now this maybe comes up half as much. And these people who are doing it are very deep into business. They have deep pockets. So the more speculative people that would be coming along, the new business, the people that you don't know very well, those ones have kind of dropped off the map. Actually, as I think about it, I just recently helped an investor buy a duplex right now, but the rates, and he's working with some of my mortgage brokers I know, are just unbelievable. Watching them, white knuckle the desk as they're looking at what's coming across their plate and whether or not the investment makes sense. So the fact of the matter is I would say there's been a great decrease in that. A lot of my business, as I said, are actually, now that we're kind of talking about it, seems to be going more luxury now. But yes, I would say the investments have definitely gone away.
Okay. And if Scott, and if your investments have gone away, are you kind of transitioning more into luxury now, like 100%, or you're kind of doing like luxury and maybe like another sub segment of the market? That way, if your city says the same thing again, you have somewhere to go, or another business model?
Funny thing is one begets the other. So a lot of the people that were buying investment properties through me are now buying their own pieces of land or buying their own types of property. So one actually gets the other. If they're not buying one, they're buying the other. Not to mention, that's the thing. Like, we've seen our prices, whether we're in an inflated market or not, we've seen our prices go sky high. Not 8 years ago, a home here was $600,000. Now it's $1 million. So really, we're looking at another boom coming up here. So people are still putting in money, but the fact of the matter is most of them is now in residential real estate, and they're getting away from commercial. Which I'm sure we can get talking about this for hours, which I don't fully understand it. But buying into large complexes, office buildings, seems to be quite dead where I'm from.
Okay. What about you, Laura or Charles?
Yeah. So, so we're in Virginia. I'm in Virginia Beach, and we actually literally have 3 different beaches. So we have a Sandbridge Beach, which is a small island that's connected. Then we have the North End, or the Virginia Beach Boardwalk. And then we have on the bay, on the Chesapeake Bay. So, I do have investors calling, especially for Sandbridge, because, you can get actually $30,000 a week for some of these bigger homes. And so I'm still dealing with an investor now. He calls me it's like 7 times a year, but we just haven't been able to land the plane. But he's looking for this huge margins for cash, and so we do see a lot of cash buyers. And this is also something that I would recommend for new agents. I mean, I do everything. I do land, I do development, I do new construction, I do resale, I do beach homes, I do a lot of waterfront. So I don't just really just do one thing. Like I'm not afraid to learn, and I've done this for years since I started. So I'm not really afraid of doing anything. Majority, I do a lot of waterfront, luxury, and then investors. Like, I have a guy that has 100 units, and I think he's probably bought 40 from me in the last 20 years. So I do keep up with some of the commercial, not a lot. But there's so much opportunity in Virginia Beach and surrounding. I will tell you, there's a lot of cash coming through our area. And so instead of putting it in the market and getting whatever their gain is, 3-5%, they can do a beach house, and now they're up, a lot. They can net $100,000 a year. You can't get that time of returns. And so I do see a lot of that cash buyers as well. So I do all of that. So, but like I said, we're at a little bit of a different area. We have 5 to 6 military bases within an hour drive of me.
Wow.
And they're always coming every three years, or they're coming from Japan or leaving, or going to Coronado and Jacksonville. So we have a very, very active community in our Hampton Roads area.
Wow. And then, do you guys have like any short-term regulations? And
yeah,
then as far as your
yeah.
What do you focus on? Because we have some of those regulations here.
Yeah, there's a big problem here. I think what ended up happening in Virginia Beach is that the hotels and the resort area got pissed off that all these people were trying to Airbnb. So they have this new law, within so much of the beach, I can't keep up with it. What I usually do is if I see that I have an investor that wants an Airbnb, I have to call the agents, figure out if they already have it, go down, make sure from the city they have their stuff in place, and I make them do their due diligence as well. But yeah, it has really changed in this area a lot, and I heard some changes are coming for the good. But the problem with Airbnb in our area, it's kind of a risk, I think, and we don't have a lot. Like I just don't see a lot of that. Or like I'm helping a doctor right now, and he called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, I'm going to rent this Airbnb. Just can you let me know where it's at?" And I looked at it and I was like, "Oh my God," I was horrified. It was literally in the worst part of town, and it looked beautiful inside, and it was $3,000 a month, and that neighborhood's maybe a $200,000 neighborhood. So I just said, I think you need to look at the crime rate, and so he didn't end up renting it for the 3 months that he's going to be here until we find him a house. But it's kind of the Wild West, if you ask me. So.
And then,
sorry, I gotta chime in there too. I just have to say, yeah, the regulations for VRBOs have been completely banned here, pretty much, unless it's in your primary residence. You can't buy an investment property here anymore and rent it out that way.
Yeah.
And then you need business licenses. The regulations have gone through the roof. I don't know. It's something that went from being a boom industry, as you said, people making $20,000, $30,000 a month on a lake house, $5,000 a week minimum. And now you just can't do it.
And then are you seeing, like, because I know all hype, like what happened in our 2020, everyone bought short-term investments, and in 2023 and 2024, everyone that bought in that peak period is now reselling it. So it literally doubled our market inventory, and now they're selling almost at the price they bought it for
Realtors did this heavily too. Realtors did this heavily too. The realtor chat was bombarded with people who were just upset about this. And the fact of the matter is, well, up in Canada, we've just increased our capital gains tax too. Like, they've put every measure in place. So from an investment standpoint, up here in Canada, we're in shock. If you go over $250,000, which is a sizable sum, but you got to think again, our properties up here are over $1 million easy. But if we make over $250,000, once you get over that threshold, you're going from a 50% capital gains to 33% more on whatever is over $250,000. That was just introduced in our country.
Wow, that's insane.
That is insane. Wow. So yes, it has been hindered. Sorry, I'm still in shock. Just as Laura said, like I can barely keep my hands on the rope, and I'm a very studious person. But the rope's just slipping through my hands with the amount of regulations and new changes and the things you need to know.
And a lot of it has to do with city council for Virginia Beach and the politics of it. Yeah. Because the hotels are pissed off that they have a couple of extra spare rooms, because now the Airbnbs are taking up the room where you can have a whole family stay, and then over here you have to rent so many hotel rooms. So it really is a political issue. But we just got caught up in the middle of it because I had no idea that regulations were changing that quickly.
What about you, Charles? I mean, I know we just had a pretty in-depth conversation between these two, but give us an overview and all that, because I think maybe your market may share some similarities.
You know, these days I don't have too much activity with investors, but you know, as far as overcoming the challenge with rates, what we do to market homes is we find builders like KB Home. You know, they have some lots with bought down interest rates like 5.5%, and we market them just to get the people to go to the different builder sites, and then that way we increase our sales of new construction homes for me and my team, and we're seeing pretty good results with that one. And as far as listings go, if we have an assumable loan, we market it that has a 5.5% or something like that assumable loan, and we get a lot of traffic, and we're able to sell the home pretty quickly.
And then going back to, I guess, listings or assumables, I'm not sure if you guys have like an assortment of listings right now that are just sitting. Is most of your inventory that you have listed, is it going quickly? Would you say half are selling? What are you doing to overcome, or maybe try to just promote it a little bit more, or are you just going to sellers and saying, hey, it is what it is. This is what the market is. This is where you need to be. If you don't want to sell today, you know, maybe look into 2025 for a brighter future.
Oh gosh, I don't do that. I mean, we just have to make those price adjustments. You know, I just listed a house in not a great neighborhood at all. Like there was a bullet in the window,
Wow.
And they just fixed it. But I said, unfortunately, it's sitting there a little bit longer than I'd like it to be sitting. But it's just that, you know, the market's going to speak. I mean, we listed a little bit higher because, you know, you can never go up. You can always go down. And the day that we listed ours, a second one came on board the same day at a lower price. So we kind of got hurt by that. But our inventory is pretty much selling pretty quickly. But I will tell you what I've, oh, can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yes.
What I have done is and this is just a key, you guys. I'm a hustler. Like I went back and looked at some of the ones that were withdrawn, called the agent up. Hey, I've got a buyer. Would you be willing to sell it? And believe it or not, I've sold 2 this year out of withdrawals, because they were going to put them on the market doing something else. And I asked them, can we just have it instead? So, I mean, I'm constantly looking at something else, to do differently. And as far as the market, ours doesn't stay on the market that long, and we are in a deficit of housing. So that's a good idea if anybody wants to get into that. And also the assumables. I had a client that wanted to assume he said, hey, I can do an assumable. And he goes, I think a lady out of my office might want to buy my house. And I'm like, hey, let's do it. So if your seller tells you that it's assumable, I start hustling to try to find a buyer prior to putting it on the market. Because I've done the second one, I did the exact same thing, and I found the buyer for an assumable loan. So that's coming down the pipe. Of course, my lender, I felt bad because we do a lot of business together, but that's an idea as well. Look for those withdrawals, call the agents, and you can always call the seller directly. But I kind of like going through the agent, because I kind of know that they're going to put it back on the market eventually, and I want to be the first one in line.
And then I had a quick question with your assumables. I've done a few of those myself. Are you just telling the client, hey, just come out of cash this much and this is what the rate would be? Or are you saying, hey, you can leverage this? I know a lot of people are also asking me, like, if lenders are having second products to where they can cover the gap.
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, I just did I did 2 this year, and it was a real big eye opener. And they're both Navy military. Of course, they're military. There were VA assumptions, but yeah, I mean, they had the money. It's very crazy. And it took a little bit longer, and he had to make another mortgage payment. So he had made another mortgage payment. Guess what? He had to bring more to closing. So it is a little tricky. They have to have a lot of money, to be honest with you. If the person's had it for more than, especially from these, one was 2.5%, the other one was 3.5%. So that tells you it was about 4 years ago. So, but our area, like I said, we've gone up in pricing. Our prices have really gone up. So they really had to bring a lot more to closing. But it was, I mean, gosh, to get a $500,000 house and 2.5% all day long would do it. That's what my house is at, and it's crazy.
Wow. What about you, Scott or Charles?
Sorry, I got sidetracked. What was the question?
Well, we were talking about the assumables, how you brought it up. I was saying, are you kind of telling your clients, hey, you just have to come out of cash? Do you know any lenders are producing any form of gap funding, or they may be going into their TSPs or 401ks to cover the difference? Like, how are you doing those?
Oh, we just tell them straight that they have to come up with a difference.
Okay, so still
cash.
Still, to my knowledge, people, if you're wondering, I know it's a super hot topic because of the low interest rate. I personally haven't found anyone that's willing to gap 2 different loans either. So for any of your buyers asking, it just seems like, hey, you got to pay to play, and this is the rate that you got to get. Or this is what I'm telling people too. I know that rates are very low at 2.5, but also something that you may want to just tell your buyer is, hey, you know what, the interest rate is really low. But if you're coming 100 or 150,000 out of pocket, they also have to look at, okay, what is the current, VA rate? Is it 6.6 or 6.5? Would I do better maybe investing that cash somewhere? So these are things that, you may just want to bring up to the buyer so they know what their comfort level is, because yes, they're assuming a huge interest rate is, but if that's their entire net worth, I just don't know about having, one egg in the basket. So, Scott, is there anything that you maybe want to say about it, or?
Here's the thing. I've had people ask me about it in the rarest of situations, but this is one of the hard things when I'm having these chats with you guys. Our market is considerably different from financial structures. So assumable mortgage, yes, technically they exist. I've never done one before.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you guys, this is just forecasting. Obviously, we don't know the future, but you guys are all very smart individuals and know your markets. What do you see happening maybe in your market in the next 6 to 12 months? Or what conversations are you having with buyers? Because I know they're asking. They're definitely asking me. What insight are you giving them, or what expectations?
Right now, for me, I think the writing's on the wall with what's happening in Canada. I actually follow quite a bit when it comes to what our country's finance sector is doing. We have what's called the Bank of Canada. You guys have the Fed. We have the Bank of Canada. The Bank of Canada has said a couple things that weren't necessarily true, but our prime lending rate has been around 5%, and it just dropped recently 0.25%. Our next meeting is on July 24th, and they may drop it another 0.25%. The fact of the matter is inflation is coming down lower. And these are things that I'm saying to you guys right now that I'm actually saying to my buyers as well. Remember what I was saying earlier about providing value, being able to speak intelligently about what's going on with the finances nationally and locally really allows people to understand that, no, you don't just open doors or you don't just write contracts. You're actually keeping your finger on the pulse of what's going on. But furthermore, what am I actually saying to these buyers? Really, the next thing I'm getting into is what I expect to see here in the future. And I say to them, I don't have a crystal ball, but really I can just tell you what the factors are and what this looks like. Really, we're in a housing shortage in Canada. There's one in all westernized countries right now, from what I understand. Our population just grew the fastest of any of the westernized countries. It's massive. Our population has boomed like 4 million. Keep in mind, we're a tenth of the size of you guys down in the United States. And interest rates are starting to drop, where they've been the highest and the longest at this peak that they have been in a long time here in Canada. So as these start to decrease, and as we have a housing shortage, really with a population boom, there's no other way to go other than up. And that's the thing. We've had a little stagnation even with our rates going up. But the fact of the matter is we're still seeing multiple offers up here. Things are still going crazy. But what I am warning people about is as we start building houses, they're going to mainly build multifamily houses. So my biggest concern for people who are investing in property and want to see appreciation, it's going to be in real property, not stratas or not condos. Condos will be the biggest problem, I think, in the future for people seeing appreciation price. Houses, I just see them going up again. That's my speech.
And then let me ask you this: why do you say condos are going to be kind of like doom and gloom? Is it because you think the maintenance costs and the HOA increases, or just because of restrictions?
A lot of aging buildings, for one, that's one side of it. But the other component is if in our country, again, if we want to get a hold of our housing crisis, the quickest short-term solution for doing this is going to be by building purpose rentals and multifamily. They've even created a new bylaw that allows R1 zones, so residential zone homes, to be subdivided into fourplexes or possibly even sixplexes if they're close to public transportation and have adequate parking. So we're about to see the dissemination of single family neighborhoods into these highly densified communities. So really, as we start seeing more and more of these types of products coming onto the market, and I've already seen this, condos have stagnated, but houses keep on going up. I've already seen it. And I think it's going to continue as the government keeps on pushing for the building of multifamily.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. And I agree with you. Condos are doing the exact same thing. I mean, some are even going like deflationary. So what about you, Laura? I said, what about you, Laura?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, again, we're just a different beast in Virginia Beach. We really are. I mean, I see, I'm trying to write on an $800,000 house and there's 7 offers on it. So it just depends on the neighborhoods. Back when, when we really had the interest rate was better. I mean, there was still low inventory, but people were actually buying in very interesting neighborhoods that were not the greatest because of the housing issue. Now I'm seeing is the better neighborhoods are gone. If the house is sitting, you really know it's not a great neighborhood, even though the interest rate, I just don't think it's affecting us because of, of the housing crisis. But I do feel like people are being a little bit more pickier and deciding where they want to be. But again, Virginia Beaches, we're just a little bit different. And so I'm not really seeing a big stagnant, unless it's a really, really tough neighborhood, then we're definitely seeing them stay in the market longer.
Yeah. Charles, what about you?
Well, most of our buyers, they already because we generate a lot of leads, so the cream rises to the top. So the buyers we work with know already what they want, and they have faith that the property they're going to buy will pay off in the future. And also, a lot of times we help them bargain hunt, like what I said earlier with the builders, the bought down interest rate, so they could have lower monthly payments. So we give them value, and we find them assumable homes that have assumable loans, so that we could overcome the objection of interest rates.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, all of these icons, and also thank you, everyone. Scott, Laura, Charles, we appreciate all your input. I'm going to pass it over to Brian here. That way he can give some insight and finish up.
Thank you.
I want to thank you all for joining today. This was a really amazing panel. You all are just top-notch. We are going to wrap this up today. If you are watching this on YouTube, smash that like button. We are here every Friday from 8:45 a.m. Pacific Time, 11:45 Eastern Time. And next week, we will be seeing Laura back on the panel, Ricardo, and Charles. So you guys, thank you so much and have a great day. Laura, drive safe.
Thank you. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.